Podcast family, hope you guys are having a great day. Welcome to a new episode of Design Break Podcast. I'm your host, Rocky Roark, and in today's episode, I'm going to be sharing 10 best practices for how you as a freelancer can nurture your client list and your network to generate more leads for your freelancing business. So recently, a former coworker and freelancer friend of mine, Sahil Chaturvedi, hopefully I said your name correctly, Sahil, your last name. I do apologize. I never quite learned how to say it. And I butchered it. I probably said it about 7 or 8 times just to hopefully get it right that one time. So I do apologize. Basically, he reached out over Twitter recently and he kind of asked if I could share on the podcast ways of nurturing your past clients, your current clients, and any types of old leads that you may have had. So I figured going in and sharing 10 best practices was the best way of doing that. So here we are. Now, normally each week I've been trying to give a special shout out. I've been calling it the listener of the week. However, this week I kind of want to do something a little bit more special. So instead, I'm going to give a massive shout out to the team behind the Design Break podcast. I would like to shout out Deanna Chapman, my editor and content manager. She's been working with me for a couple of years now, maybe even a few years now. And Joel Anderson, who's the newest member of the team and our content designer. He has been the one that's been creating the most recent cover art and other designs that we share on social media. So thank you both so much for all of your hard work behind the scenes. We would not be able to do this podcast without you. I definitely would not be able to. We would have probably stopped after 2 more episodes this year. So thank you so much. So without further ado, let's kind of jump in today's episode. Now, as someone who has been working as a freelancer for quite a while now, I have learned pretty early on that not only creating a network and a list of former coworkers and clients and people that you met at different types of events is very important, but actually nurturing that network is so pinnacle to your growth overall as a freelancer, as a designer, and more importantly, as a business owner. Now, what do I mean by nurturing? Some of you might be, curious. Not a lot of people use this term. You might hear it if you're in marketing or demand generation, but for the most part, a lot of people don't really hear the word nurturing. And so, basically, what we're talking about is we're taking these leads and we're kind of just like giving them attention. We're giving them value. We're reaching out. We're having conversations with them. We're basically like nurturing them like they're our friends, like they're our family, like they're our children. Now, not going that deep into it, that's a little too much, but you kind of get the gist of what I'm saying there. And this is very important for those of you who want to have a steady stream of leads coming in that aren't just necessarily word of mouth, but also leads that you go out for yourself. So the 10 best practices that I'm going to be sharing with you today are all strategies that I've used and I've seen others use in the past to great success. Now, however, there is one major key part of this in order for this whole system to run smoothly and effectively, and that is consistency. Consistency is the key for many things when it comes to business and honestly when it comes to basically anything in general. And it's something that I've always had problems with. I always had trouble with in the past due to my nature of procrastination and a undiagnosed bout of ADHD. I will get diagnosed one day. I know I will. But it's something that I have found is very important for any type of business related venture, especially when it comes to tasks where you have to do things over and over again and hopefully build a successful network. So with these best practices, consistency is going to be very important overall. And when I say consistency, I'm talking about consistently staying true to what you want to do or what you're trying to do with with nurturing your clients. Okay, so let's jump in. So number one is build yourself a network master list. Now, this could be a simple spreadsheet, or it could be something super complicated as a CRM or customer relations management system to organize all of your contacts. Personally, I've always used spreadsheets. I've tried Airtable, and now I'm using Notion for my network, and they all work relatively the same. You could really honestly just set up a spreadsheet and it'll work. You don't have to pay for any type of service or anything like that. The goal here is to basically organize all of the contact information, notes, interaction history, news, resources, and basically everything that you ever share with these contacts to bring them value. And it's truly, honestly, a database. This is geared towards keeping track of all of these interactions and knowledge that of people in your network. Don't worry though, when I'm saying all this, I'm not saying, being like the NSA or the CIA. You're not doing this to track people and to know their whereabouts and listen on their secret conversations or anything like that. This is not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is having a single repository of information that you've collected so that you can remember and you don't forget what the things that you've talked about with people, or you don't forget that, oh, in 2 weeks time I need to reach out to Brian, or maybe in 3 months I need to follow up with James and see like how his new role is doing at Google, right? So you're basically kind of like creating this repository of just like who where they are, when you should contact them, when was the last time you contacted them, and also just like any big news. So for instance, very recently, one of my old bosses got a new job at a major company. First thing I did was I congratulated him. I added the fact that he switched from his previous company to this new company in my spreadsheet, or in my partnership directory, which is what I call it. Then I went in and I said, you know what? I need to follow up with him in 1 month to kind of like find out like how things are going with him, see like if if there's any pain points he's coming up with or anything like that. And not so much just for me to reach out and be like, hey, do you need any help or anything like that. No, 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 no. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm basically trying to keep a conversation going over time, and especially making sure that I don't forget, what we talked about in the past, because my memory is not very good. And so there is very a good possibility that I will forget what I may have discussed with a certain person, or what they may have discussed with me. I might get people confused. And so this is just a way of tracking all the information. And I've heard from many other friends who are freelancers, who are networkers, that this is something that is also very important for them. So this kind of also leads into the number 2 spot, which is create and maintain a regular contact schedule with your network. Building relationships is about genuine engagement, not just reaching out to them when you need something. I learned very early on in 2016, 2017, that I was very quickly losing friends, because I was constantly reaching out to my network and being like, hey, do you need help with something? Hey, do you need help with something? Hey, do you need help with something? It's not the best way of going about it. Honestly, people get very tired. They get very overwhelmed when all you want is something from them, versus when you reach out to like ask how they're doing, or having a simple conversation. And honestly, one of the hardest parts of that is knowing when you should be reaching out, or simply forgetting to reach out to a contact for months or even years at a time. I know because I've done this. So within your database, schedule periodic check-ins to see how those in your network are doing, share relevant news with them, or simply send a friendly hello. It's important not to reach out to them to, see what they can do for you, but just to ask how they are doing in general. I've personally found that having real conversations with people where you're not coming off as a used car salesman is the best way to engage with your network. As I've mentioned in this episode, and as I've mentioned in previous podcast episodes, on live streams, on YouTube videos, and the like. So, what I usually do is I tend to schedule groups of individuals together. So, what I have is when I have my partnership directory up and running and I'm working at it constantly with business development, what I'll do is I'll reach out to generally 5 people each day, and then another 5 people the next day. That way, every single day of the week, I'm basically reaching out to people, I'm following up. Not everybody is going to respond, or not everybody is going to want to have conversations. They'll probably be busy, or they don't have much to talk about, and that's okay. Sometimes, in a week's time, you'll reach out to 25 people, and only two of the 25 actually have a conversation with you. That's fine. You know, when it comes to the time frames, depending on the previous conversation, I'll usually schedule things out 1 to 2 months between each like conversation, unless there's like a high value lead, or there was possibly like something that they talked about that was time sensitive. And so, especially with those people who don't really, respond to me, or those people who don't have much to say, or super busy, those are the people that I really tend to spread out like 2 to 3 months ahead of time. So I'll be like, okay, I reached out to, Joe, and unfortunately, he's super busy right now. They just like have this massive thing that has a deadline coming up. I'll reach out to him in 2 months and see how everything went. And I'll probably even follow up and just be like, hey, how did everything go with that major launch that you were working on? And so then the next part is number three, which is continuously providing value to your network. When you provide ongoing value, it helps to solidify your position as a trusted source with your network. What does that even mean, though? That's probably you might be thinking that. You're like, what do you mean by, providing them value? Are you showering them with money? Are you giving them Starbucks gift cards? It means that you listen to them. You take notes. When you have conversations, you see if there's any pain points that they might have in that moment that you can then help them with. Like they're having issues that have creeped up, during a project or something along those lines. And so by making these notes, you're able to recognize areas where you can add value to help them. This can be in the form of sharing helpful content like articles, videos, tools, or even insights that you might have from previous work in their industry, or previous times that you've come up against those pain points as well. A lot of times, these pain points, that their experiences are going to share a common thread with others in your network, especially if you have a specific network that you work with. For instance, with me, I work with a lot of marketers, and a lot of marketers tend to have the exact same pain points. So what I do is I actually have created a library of articles, videos, tools that I end up sharing with a lot of people. And sometimes I'll even record Loom videos where I, talk through, things that I've done in the past in case it might help them. Now, don't overwhelm them with information. I'll probably share like a 3-minute video where I talk about, what I went through, and, the solutions that I found that helped. So, number four is celebrate your network's successes and milestones. So, by acknowledging successes, you're building a stronger emotional connection with your network. When you're looking, through LinkedIn or Twitter, be on the lookout for instances like these where someone is sharing some big news, like a new job, could be a new brand launch for their company, could be a series funding or something along those lines. But send them a congratulatory, I had to really sit there and say that word out, note via a DM, or even better, if you have their information, if they're actually like a good friend of yours, send them a message via snail mail. Send them a message, in the mail, a handwritten note that goes a lot further than a DM. I will even do this for past leads. So for instance, I think it was 2 months ago, there was a potential project that came on my plate. Unfortunately, we didn't get the project. No worries. But I connected with the lead for the project on LinkedIn. And 3 weeks ago, I actually saw them post that they had finished the project, and they shared, what they created. And so what I ended up doing was I went through and I, congratulated them, sent them a DM on LinkedIn. I said, hey, this looks so great. Congratulations on this work. Sorry we didn't get a chance to work together, but you know what? You guys were in good hands, and you guys created something really amazing. And honestly, like, they reached out a couple days ago and they were like, hey, we may have a project for you. Do you have any availability? So you can see like how this this constant interaction and even just like congratulating someone on some major news can really add up and can really lead to some great opportunities. So you never know what can come from things like this. Now, number five, we're almost halfway through. Creating personalized content and offers. So personalization creates a connection and shows that you understand their unique needs and interests, which can go a very long way. So just like I mentioned in number three, take those unique pain points that creep up, and instead of sharing someone else's article or video, create your own on the topic. Based on your own experiences and the things that you've worked with in that pain point. This could be a great way to create your own content. The person that you're talking to will see it as a personalized offering or solution to their problem, and you'll have a new piece of content that you can add to your website or your social channels for others to see and learn from. And it's something that you can continuously share with people over time. It's kind of like evergreen content. So like you can tailor your newsletters, your articles, your services, and even custom video messages specifically to those in your network, even past clients. Recently, I started a new campaign to reach out to past clients by recording a quick Loom video, 2 to 3 minutes, basically saying, hello, sharing some news with me and my business, and looking to set up a call to kind of catch up and chat. Now, this is very new. So literally, we just sent out a couple of those this week. And I have another, I think, 10 that I'm going to be doing later next week. And so, as of right now, with those few videos, we're already seeing like a 40% return rate on sending them out. And when I say return rate, I don't mean like, 40% have signed new work, but they've actually responded to us and they are, wanting to jump on a call to kind of like chat. That's a huge win. 40%, I think it was, we sent out 10, so I think four responded. Personalization can go a long way. So number six, now we're halfway there. Be transparent about your own growth and your offerings. So transparency fosters trust and can make past clients feel part of your journey. Generally, once or twice a year, I like to reach out to all of our previous clients, from the past couple years at least, and give them kind of like a state of the union of Blue Cyclops and what we've been doing, what we're planning to do next. And usually I'll share with them like new services that we're offering, highlighting recent work, success stories, case studies, and when we'll be raising our prices, which I'll usually like offer, a time period for them to like kind of lock in the current rates. And believe it or not, that actually works. This will sometimes light a fire from past clients and lead to like one or two leads coming in the sales pipeline. Now, generally, sometimes like this will work, sometimes it won't. In the past, when we've done this, we generally see like probably the max is like 2 new leads come in the pipeline. And then sometimes like 3 months later, I'll get a message from a client. Oh, hey, I remember that you shared in your latest email that you guys were raising your prices. Is there any way that we can like kind of lock in that original price? And generally, I'll offer to them a slightly discounted rate, but I won't offer them that original price. Because the fact that they even like mentioned that they read that email to begin with, that's good. They actually saw it. So definitely something to consider with sending out messages to past clients. Number seven, host webinars or live stream sessions. So live engagement offers an opportunity to interact and provide real-time value to your leads, your clients. They also create artifacts and videos that you can kind of link back to and share with those in your network in the future who may find, value in them. What you can do is organize webinars or live Q&A sessions on topics that really resonate with you and your network. Focusing specifically on pain points again. Like pain points are a big key about this, and you're probably going to keep hearing me say that throughout this entire podcast episode. But this is a great opportunity just to provide some extra value and to create some new content for yourself. Number eight, and I'm kind of going through these a little bit quicker, so I do apologize if I'm rushing through these. But number 8 is develop and share a regular newsletter. Creating a regular newsletter that specifically targets your past clients and those in your network who could become clients helps show them that you're active and engaged in your field. This is definitely an example of, do as I say, not as I do, for sure. I've had a newsletter for almost 10 years now. And honestly, I've never been very consistent with it. And here's what I'm saying. Beginning of the podcast, I mentioned how consistency was very key to this. And honestly, I've never been consistent with newsletters. I don't know why that is. I've tried to, put extra time into it in the past. There's been moments where I'm like, yes, I'm going to put out a newsletter, and it doesn't happen. Like I'll get like maybe I think the most I ever put out in a row was 4 newsletters over the course of a couple of months. I just can never stay consistent with it. However, I see the value in this, and I've seen how impactful this can work for fellow freelancers, studio owners who utilize a regular newsletter that they share with their network and clients. What you can do is basically segment your past clients, your network, etc., and curate content that aligns with their interests, industry trends, or includes updates about your own projects. Again, sharing case studies, success stories, testimonials, and things like that. Social proof is a major part of building a business, of having leads and things. So number 9, we're almost done here. Number 9, leverage social media thoughtfully. The key word here is thoughtfully. Social media is more than just self-promotion. It's a space to engage with and support your community. Your network will be posting regularly on social media, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. Those are the 2 that I actually tend to focus more on nowadays. And it's important that you engage with them when you can and post importantly when appropriate. So like responding to them when appropriate. Share, comment on, or like posts by your network and clients, but make sure that you write thoughtful comments. Don't just, say things like congratulations or great job. Guilty of that. I'm definitely guilty, but be, more meaningful. Take the time to write a response, and don't just retweet or repost, but quote their posts and add like praise and value to it. Talk about, if they're talking about like, hey, we're currently looking for, to fill this new role on our team, build them up, share it with your audience, but share it and say, hey, I can vouch for, so and so. I've worked with them. They're amazing. You will definitely want to join their team. And honestly, it really goes a long way. Again, I've done it in the past many times, and I get, constantly get messages from people who I haven't talked to in a while, who I happen to see these posts, and they just like, we start engaging, we start talking, and next thing you know, there's a lead that comes in the door, whether it's directly from them or it's someone who they reached out to and said, hey, you have to check out Rocky, you have to check out Blue Cyclops. All right. And so number 10, the final one here, the final best practice here is develop a client retention program. Now, for those in your network who are current or past clients, developing a structured retention program can turn one-time clients into repeat clients, or better yet, long-term clients. This is where instead of it being like they come to you over and over again for projects, sometimes, a long time in between, instead they come to you and they're like, hey, we want to contract you for X amount of time, or we want to be on a retainer system with you. It's happened many times over for me. It's something that really helps out, and it helps to fill the gap when you don't have a lot of projects coming in the hopper. Don't become reliant on those, though. Go back to the episode where we talk about retainers, and just like make sure that you watch out for all of the downfalls that come with them. But the key aspect of nurturing your clients is making sure that they are happy and will either hire you again or refer you to others. You don't want one-off clients. You want repeat clients. You want long-term clients. So develop a strategy that includes follow-up emails, satisfaction surveys, and perhaps a loyalty discount to repeat business or referrals. Give a little discount can definitely go a long way. I know a lot of freelancers, a lot of the freelance gurus out there, they might be hesitant to say, offer a discount. I offer a discount to certain clients depending on certain aspects. I have a client who is on retainer, and they pay me in advance versus paying me after the work is done. So they pay me for at the beginning of the month for the work that is going to be done throughout that month, versus paying me at the end of the month for all the work I did during the month. And so because of that, I give them a small little discount and they love it. It adds a little bit more of incentive for them to continuously work with me and and to sign long-term projects. So those are basically the 10 best practices for nurturing your network and past clients. You can choose to implement a couple of these practices or try all 10, though I would suggest starting small and then going with like the first few before you try and tackle them all. Because if you try and tackle all of these at once, you might get burnt out. You very well might stop. You'll do it for like a couple of weeks and then completely stop because you're like overwhelmed, and that's okay. Over time, you'll probably pick a couple of these, work with them, implement them into your regular freelancing or business routine and everything, and that's fine. And then over time, you'll be like, you know what? I'm going to start that client retention program now. I think this is the best time for me to do this because I have all these old clients who I want to kind of like get back into working with, or I want to, have all my current clients keep coming back for more and more. So, just be careful and don't overwork yourself. Everyone is different and everyone's businesses are going to be different. As I mentioned in episode 36, Beware Fake Freelance Gurus, there is no secret sauce. There is no golden key or golden egg or golden goose, to being successful. You have to figure out what works best for you. What works for me may not work for you, but maybe a couple little things that I suggest or that I've done in the past may work, or they may inspire you to choose your own path. So it's definitely something to consider. I just want to make sure that everyone who listens to this episode and all my other content, that you guys get the most out of it. I'm not trying to sell you on anything. I'm not trying to, convert you to, following or, follower count or anything like that. I just want to share things with you that will hopefully help you or improve your overall career growth or your freelancing journey. So I want to thank everyone for their time and watching or listening to today's episode of Design Break Podcast. If you aren't already, please definitely subscribe to the podcast, wherever it is that you get your podcasting fix, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or if you're tuning in to this episode on YouTube. For those of you who are subscribed to our old YouTube channel, definitely head on over to my personal channels where we're going to be posting a lot more up-to-date content and a lot of stuff that actually isn't part of these episodes, which is under @Rocky Roark on YouTube. You can just type my name in and you should be able to find it. If you have any questions about today's podcast episode, please be sure to leave a comment in the YouTube video below or send me a DM on Twitter @TheDesignBreak. You can also send me a DM @Rocky Roark. I will probably be more likely to answer the Design Break messages. I'm always happy to answer people's questions and to help share a bit of knowledge. We actually just recently had someone reach out. They had some questions, and I spent some time just writing out responses to them because I felt like it was something that was very important to help, anyone and everyone who comes to us with, questions or needing help. So until next time, I hope you guys always remember to stay passionate, stay positive, and stay creative. All right, guys, that is it for me. That is it for this episode. Thank you guys so much. Talk to you later. Bye.